Las Aslanitas podcast. What's
Las
going on?
Aslan, we are
What's up?
here
What's
once
going
again.
on, familia?
We got
Post
Sky, we
eclipse.
got Zero, we
Yo.
got Daniel. It's gonna be a great night.
And Armando, don't forget Armando.
Don't forget
Yes.
Mondo.
Zero, you have a big event coming up, bro. I think it's pretty big, dude. It's Canada. It's a whole different market.
Yeah,
A whole
and
nother
then the
country.
DJ from like Snotty Nose is gonna be there. HK
man.
put together a pretty good event.
Shout out
man.
HK.
Yeah, shout out
Yeah, shout out to
HK.
the homie.
Are there any, Latinos, Mexicans performing there outside of yourself?
I'm not sure. But I know that he put the Quetzal, Eagle, Condor kind of theme to it. So I'm expecting like at least a couple Spanish speaking,
Dope.
either crowd. But there's not very many people that speak Spanish out there because, the further north you go, the further white it gets.
Damn, that's crazy. It sounds like my third grade class.
But
I was the only one representing.
I'm excited to go internationally. I'm excited to go and represent the podcast and my store and the movement that we have going on in Los Angeles. I mean, the movement's strong. I mean, we're all kind of hungrier, believe it or not, because when we were in the early 90s, we were super hungry, to find out about this information. And it seems like 2024, almost everyone is hungry for it. That everybody's ready to digest the complexity of what our culture is and how it applies to modern day society. So I'm excited to be able to go out there and represent the movement that we're creating here in LA, in Vancouver, with the brothers of brother Higher Knowledge and all the other artists that are going to be there. But shout out to Dakota Bear. He reached out, and I'll be meeting up with him out there too. So I mean, I just try to create good relations with our indigenous family, and Daniel, you can attest to this. Is that the Mexica went all the way up to Canada?
Of course.
Like they had relationships. So imagine from Mexico having relationships or people that interacted with each other all the way in Canada.
Well,
know,
you
so-
look at the language, man. You look at the names of the places, and as long as you see Nahuatl goes all the way up, it's all up in there, And so, I know the Tlingit. You listen to that word Tlingit, you don't think that's Nahuatl, It says. So I mean, yeah, these are our relations. And I think there was many. How would you say? There were many pathways, roads that they took. The trades. Because the obsidian from Mexico City would end up north. The the cedar, the different turquoise. As we were talking, it's nice, at plant-based salon that it's just neat the way people come and they bring forth, their stories, and the stories just through the facts that these stones, certain things are from certain parts of the continent, and how they end up in other places, and so they happen. We move, we bring these things, and so you're basically bringing medicine from here to the north, and it's basically what we used to do, it's just that you're burning a lot more carbon these days, flying in a plane, but it's just the modern day, and so just back in the day, you'd make that walk. Imagine, Ruben, if you'd have been invited to that event, how long before the event starts would you have had to start walking?
Right, and then and then finding the right path, and traveling through the right time. It may take you years to get there, and that's what I used to
Wait,
think.
well, hold on. No, I don't think it would take you a year, bro. But I want you to think about something, and I think that's where I
I
think.
mean, from Mexico to Canada,
Yeah, Ruben, come on, brother. They did it. They did it in like a
I know,
couple of
but
months.
months.
Because they would walk. Because even when I was at a ceremony in Mexico, like in '96, somebody had come walking. I'm like, what the fuck?
Sheesh.
No, exactly. They do
Man,
that.
it's hard to conceptualize, but I
Yes,
mean,
and that's why I say it, because sometimes we can't conceptualize what they did and where they came
true,
from.
true,
And
and
so
with being on a high mineral diet, I could see how someone could focus in and do that. Like where they're walking 30, 40 miles, or maybe
right.
running 10 miles for the first part of the day,
Yes, and
and then
Ruben, and think,
walking the rest of the way and
and
getting.
you see the sun ceremony and how it is, and you wonder yourself today. You see, oh, how could they do that? Well, damn, if you walked, all those miles for months,
Mm,
when it came to the ceremony, come on, dude. Second, third day, you'd just be, like,
right.
because it'd be part of your life, And so we don't. We're so colonized, And I say that I'm speaking from like I didn't realize how colonized I was until I went to the ceremony. I understand, like, wow, and because we look at it, and the thing is, again, too, we're in this. experiment, but they're
Mm.
connected. And as we touch and go through those ceremonies and these things, because that's what you're doing. You're connecting an old ceremony, an old journey, Ruben. You're like, this guy came, got you, and now you're going back. And so it's a beautiful thing because,
Right.
it's
And right here in the chat, the homie says, 3Pac 1995. He says, barefoot or close to barefoot is better than shoes, right? Like imagine they were marching or walking
In sandals,
in sandals.
at least in sandals, you know.
Hey,
Or,
but bro, I remember when I was in Michoacan, I was a teenager, and we were there in the morning, getting up, and there was these kids running around. We were like, "Hey, those kids don't have shoes on. What?" And they were just running around. I was like, "What the hell?" Your feet get tough if that's all. I mean, you
I
really
say
get
build up the callus, huh?
right. No, they
Callus
do,
starts
and
to
I was
build up.
and we were looking at them thinking like, "What the?" But again, too, when you see the example, it's in your face. Like, damn, dude, because really, when you wear shoes, it kind of separates you from the earth. I mean, how could it not? Then concrete, all these things are just things that the experiment separates us from. From the things that we are. But again, too, kind of to me, it takes it back to like on Mondays, Ruben, when you walk on the beach, you go to Venice, like it's a nice thing, man, to just take time in the week, in the day, and whatever to just get back to where we were before we were lost, and so and we begin to slowly find ourselves, and again,
and to define lost, it doesn't mean like where we don't have direction. Is that we weren't given direction,
right. Well, I
and
almost
that's
think
why,
like when
and
we're
that's why, like,
driving and we're just taking a left turn, like, oh, wait a second, we gotta go back, and we're not lost, but this isn't where we're supposed to be.
well, I
That
mean,
makes sense.
and
Yeah.
I'm talking about the name of the podcast. Sometimes people have an issue with the fact that I'm saying, or that the word lost is in it, right? But when you don't have a reference, you're lost.
Good
You know
point. Good
that
point.
you don't have a reference. I mean, come on. I asked my grandmother, "Hey, where are we from?" I asked my mom, "Mom, do you know anything? Anything?" No, mijo, I don't know. She's lost. I'm lost. But then I found this place called Aslan. Well, what is that? All the math, all the science, all the art, all the pre-colonial concepts. Well, that's Aslan. So then at one point I didn't have a reference, but now I know I'm from this place. If I could practice the things that they did, then I could be part of this place, of this community, and this understanding, this reality. And when we get to that point, we can travel through time.
Right, right. You know what's interesting, Ruben, too, and I mean, this makes me think about in terms of the concept of lost, okay? Because I remember going to college. I remember going through the system, and man, I remember reaching a point, and I thought, this university where I study at, nowhere on campus, nowhere on campus, no class, nowhere do I feel like comfortable. Do I feel like, like in so on that campus, I'd start to realize there was nowhere on that campus that like had things that were cultural or nothing, nothing. And I just started to trip out of that because I began to let go of all the what I've been fed, what I was indoctrinated with. And so I thought to realize that, man, how many of us go to these places and there's no sign of us? That almost as if we culturally, ethically, morally didn't do anything. But that's so untrue. Like, and it's just but do you think about that was a way to make me feel lost and how fucking I remember some dumbass cowboy said, "Go back to where you came from," and I had to laugh. I think, okay, me go back to where I came from, cowboy. Okay, the thing is, caballero. That's comes from a term from the ancients, doing work with the cattle, and so again, too, man, every English word, most of those English words are translations of Spanish words. So
Right.
here's this fool telling me to go back to where he came from. And he borrowed the culture from my people, and
Mm.
he's not even. And I'd look at him. I think, well, yeah, bro. I think because I'm part of this environment where I grew up, but that institution lets other people feel and look at me like, no, man, you're the foreigner. Kind of like when I was in third grade, they said, no, Daniel, Mexico lost the war. You're Mexican. You're not
Good
American.
point. Can we stop right there? Pause. We lost the war.
I
Right?
didn't.
No,
I didn't have
I'm
any
just
of
saying.
mine.
I'm saying, educational wise, on paper, in terms of modern conception, right, or the understanding of history. This is what happened. I'm glad that you brought that up. I was talking to somebody earlier today, and this individual is like, stressing out. And she's doing really good things, for the community. She did whatever she was in an institution. She's using that institution and the money that institution brings and doing something good for her community in her way,
Right.
So, I mean, I told her, we can only do what we can. It's not going to be solved with my lifetime, her lifetime. I go, you got to think of it like you're a runaway slave. And in a runaway slave situation, if you see the slave master's boots outside the door, you're taking them and you're putting them on. You're not going to go, oh, wow, that was a slave master. I'm not going to use those things. No, you're a runaway slave. You use them, right?
Right.
You use the tools that are whatever's there because you're trying to help people. Right. But remember one thing. It's never going to be easy for you for one reason. For us indigenous people, for the point that Dano just brought up where I paused, we are prisoners of war.
Yeah, it's true. Wait, okay, hold on.
Wait. That is a very serious statement. A prisoner of war loses all his rights. He is just cattle. He's insignificant. But that's the way they see us. Then we switch over to Aslan. Right? The lost part. That's the lost part. Where they go, oh yeah, these children that are prisoners of war, they have nothing. They have nothing. They aren't nothing. Well, yeah, you can treat us that way. But when we look at our past, that was way, way, way before you, we find everything. Everything we need, at least. All the rituals are there. All the math is there. And all the observation of the stars are there. So it doesn't matter if we're prisoners of war. When we break that colonial perspective, we're letting all of it go. And rooting ourselves and tying ourselves down to the truth that our ancestors left us. So, prisoners of war? Exactly, my friend. That's what we are. And how are we going to break that understanding? Because it's almost like if we just minimize it, but I still get to go to college, right? And I still get to own a business, but not all of us do. Not all of us do. The ones that do fucking went through shit. What did you go through to get your degree, Daniel?
Well, hold on, Ruben. Okay, understand that I hear you, but understand something, bro. All my life, I've been called white. Oh, Daniel, you're white from all my brown family. Okay, and so we had this discussion, brother. Like, okay, because my mother, and unlike your mother, like, I know how you feel about, but to me, man, the mother in my life was the strength. She laid it out and said, "No, mijo, I'm gonna make it. You're my baby. I'm gonna clear the road for you." And so she cleared the road for me. And so the reason I say this is because let me wait, hold on. I'm gonna just cover the chat real quick because the homie was talking about vaquero and I was talking about caballero. The caballero, the root of caballero is caballo, so it's horse. The horse. So the caballero, so it's the cowboy. But it is cow is vaquero, so it's true. But in our term today, the güero puts the hat on and says, "I'm a cowboy," and so again, dude, they always say shit wrong. They just say, it's like the reason they call the black man Negro because it's negro. And all these original ideas, like the fact that we're not Indian, we're indios, we're without God, we're not from India, and so the English language has a way of just, how do I say, just ruining the meaning of things, because it just takes the word and doesn't even explain what it, because at least in Spanish, they wanted to understand and they gave the word that translated, but the widow comes in and says, nah, fuck it, I'm going to call it this. And what I mean that is this is a different background. And so, but he's right, the prisoner of war. We're not here to have war. We're trying to survive. And if you think about it, all we do is survive. And most of the time, their rhetoric is about removing, actually killing us. And just think about that. Think about that their whole shit is to remove us and kill us, and our whole shit's just let us survive. And I've always said that. Just leave us alone and let us thrive, And so that's that battle because I was raised to like, as we were talking about, I was raised to understand the value of money and not to go after it, but to understand, that if you do work in our society, you should get paid because that's how you buy the food, and those are the way the society works today. And I was saying when I was a little kid, people would come to the house, and my cousins said, and they needed to make money for something, and my mother would say, okay, well, do this and this and this, and I'll give you what you need, and so that was she was a source to break that, as the colonized, because we couldn't just go out and get a job if you needed money, and so it's like, man, I remember you telling me the story about where and if you could share that when you asked for things, because in this society you see everyone's got shit but you don't have shit, and it's like,
Right.
man, that's a whole nother battle, a whole nother war. That's like there's all these ways that they're just fucking with us, and we're just like, man, we're good hearts, we're good people, but then we're broke, and then they make us do shit for money, and it's like, man,
But
it's
that's
just,
that, to me, that's the confusing part is like, like if they treat us so bad, why are we so vested in trying to prove them with either getting a degree or trying to go for city council or like they treat you bad. They've always treated us bad. Nothing they ever did. I mean, think about it. We're prisoners of war. We're so far into prisoners of war that we don't even know that we are.
but I would say this, Ruben, think about this, and I was listening to
If we don't think that we're prisoners of war, think about this. What is the what is the number, what is the incarceration rate? There's more Mexican people in jail than there is any other race.
yeah, but brother, all the invaders were jail people. They sent us all the jail people, like, they okay,
But
but I was gonna get
my point is this. But if we are in a concept that we're in the United States where everything is equal, the Mexican American War was in 18 something.
yeah, but hold on, but like, let me finish this point, because this is this point that I want to get to, man. Okay, and this is it. At Plant Based Aslan, man, beautiful soul. Her name was Lydia, and the danzante, and she was
Mhm.
funny because she
Shout
said,
out Lydia.
yeah, she says, "Hey, are you from the podcast?" And I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Wait, don't you wear glasses?" And I said, "No, I don't wear glasses. I just wear glasses when I'm trying to read the chat, But and so, anyways, we were having the conversation. She's a light skinned sister, and oh man, she got a place in my heart because my mother's name's Lydia, So when I hear that name, it is my niece, and so we started talking, and very light skinned. We were just talking about the issue, light skin and dark skin, And then she said, and was profound to me because I'd always known this, but it was the first time that it just hit me in my heart, and it just like hit me hard. And she said, this light color that I have is a byproduct of rape. My people were forcefully raped. And I was like, oh my God, I know this. I read it all the time. But man, when she told me that, I don't know, it just hit me so hard that she's who she is and she's a beautiful soul. And for me, and I'm not that way, because like we were talking about white, red, black, and yellow, and it's like I wouldn't look at her and think of her any less, and just thought when she said that, I just thought, man, it is a war. And our women, they were raped by force. And the thing is, before that, they weren't raped. Before that, they were in power. Before that, we had to do our best to try to please them and to, to just make this harmony. And now this guy, and it's like that's what happened. And somebody said they created a new race of people. Like, damn, they did. We knew that the mother is always our people. But that was just a forceful, and the things that's the thing. We're people being forced, and at some point, we're gonna like we're not gonna take it no more, and they're gonna call us terrorists when we defend ourselves. Think about that one.
Well, I mean, I think the defense has to be further than violence.
Of course, well, it can't be violent, Ruben, but I'm just saying the defense.
And,
We're protectors.
and
Like
then and
that's the
so
word, it's protectors. And so
and,
we have
and
to protect many things on many levels. The descalipocas, the shit you don't see, the seeds that they plant, but the most of all, they're fucking with our future. Don't mess with my kids. Leave our children out of this.
but
That's how
but
they got us.
but it's our responsibility for those children.
Of
Like
course.
what concepts are we going to teach them? And that has been the struggle that we faced for the past 2 or 3 generations. You know
For
what I mean?
sure. For
Like
sure.
look, I love the Chicano movement. Like in the '60s, I studied it a lot when I was writing for the albums for El Vu, and we were trying to cling to information that we got from our previous generation, but a lot of them conformed. A lot of that
Yeah, it's
Chicano movement was
Well, you beat
was
me to
to
the punch,
build a,
brother.
was to build a political party and have
You
that
know?
political party have a face and dude, they're liars.
No,
They're
okay, well, I'm
these
not gonna say that, Ruben, but I remember people telling me, "Hey," that when I
no, I'm
started
not saying that the Chicano movement and people are liars. I'm saying what we're trying to create to change our situation for the next 7 generations is not building a political party, not getting um, hundreds of thousands of council people. I mean, it's not going to do that. It's letting go of their system and studying your ancient system. You have a right to go, well, wait a minute. I have a different connection to water than those güeros over there. I have a different connection to the land than those Europeans over there. I have a different connection to community than those Europeans over there. But if we keep trying to go, no, but we can clean this house up and we can make it better. Look, all I have to do is move the couch over there and move the chair over here, and it's going to be okay. It's never been okay. They raped us, and we act like, oh, okay, that happened. You know, they enslaved the blacks. Oh, yeah, that's okay. That happened. It's like the biggest mind fuck in the world.
right, right. Hey, but you had two Ruben,
Like, how is America the land of the free when it fucking destroyed the indigenous people of this land? It enslaved tons of Africans. It erased hundreds and hundreds of years of information. It let people like the Rockefellers and the Carnegies create institutions so they can control the narrative of time and understanding and knowledge. Like, and you trying to change that system? It's all based on lies.
yeah, but Ruben, if what you have and what you push, whatever you're doing, if there's no love in it, is it even real? Is it even because to me, I think that's it, and this is what I think is that we're the flavor of humanity here, and what I mean that is that we're the ones that we go after things that aren't money. Like money is a thing that I need, but it isn't the reason that I do what I do, and that's what I was trying to explain. Is that I lived in a society with white people. I grew up. My birth certificate says I'm white, so for all intents and purposes, I didn't experience what a lot of you might have experienced in Los Angeles. I experienced it different. Like what I heard all the time, many times. Oh, we don't like Mexicans. Mexicans are this and that. Hey, but Danny, you're okay. And it was like I was supposed to be okay with that. Like, okay, I'm okay, but my mom and dad aren't okay. I'm okay, but my sister and brothers aren't okay.
Mm.
And at the time, I couldn't like. I was just trying to think, why the fuck tell me that? You know what I mean? Like just the shit that I heard as a kid growing up. I remember one kid. There was like a little Mexican. He goes, "Hey, Danny, if you touch a kid, I'm gonna kick your ass." I'm thinking, well, that kid looks like me. Why are you kicking my ass to protect that kid? You know what I
Mm.
mean? And it was just like, but again, dude, like you said, there's a lot of violence and shit. Because I wasn't a violent or I wasn't raised with violence. Like I said, when hitting the wall to me, I was like, dude, what are you doing? Yeah, I was shocked when I saw shit like that. Because my mom did everything she could to not make our house that way. If anybody was like that, you didn't come around the house anymore. Like my mom was a pit bull. You know what I mean? Like she just did not allow our house. But I mean, at the same time, it's kind of interesting being that my dad was, like first generation, paisano. We had a lot of Mexican relatives, family friends stayed with us for like a month, 2 months, and then they left. They were moved on. Eventually, I was just like, all right, it was just part of. So I learned to like speak Spanish, talk, and I used to talk way too much, like I do here, but adults, and I'd be talking, but it turned out to help me as a little kid because my vocabulary was broad because I speak Spanish and English.
And that's how, and that system is different from that colonial system.
Right, and it
You,
exists. It's a real
you,
system.
your ability or your family. I know because my grandmother did the same thing.
Right, right, we
When,
were talking about that, how
when,
different we are, Ruben, but how similar we are too, you know?
yeah, when they moved here, they would go back to Texas and tell people to come, and they're like, we can't go, or we don't have the money to go, and they're like, well, you can stay with us. You can stay with us until you get a job, and there's lots of work there, and you'll get a job. It won't be long. You'll stay with us though.
Right.
That's outside. That's not colonial. That's not a colonial.
Right.
To do that is not a to open up your home to a different family and have
Right,
two
right.
families live in one household. That's communal. That's communal. That's the way we've been surviving here for thousands and thousands and
Right,
thousands
right.
and thousands of years, right? That's communal. That's the way. And we're not the only ones that practice it, because Asian people practice it. The Asian families practice it.
Right.
It's a communal. And let's not even call it like indigenous. It's just a global understanding that we need each other to survive.
Ruben, that you're so true. Because I want to say this too, man. After spending the weekend, this weekend at Planets Lot, and just our whole day Monday, man, I just felt like I was just on a good high. You know what I mean? Like aside from the cannabis, and it's interesting because I was on such a good high that I was telling people in the morning I was freaking people out. You want to know what I was doing, Ruben?
Mm,
I was saying good morning.
mhm.
And it just threw everybody off, and that just made me laugh because you know what I mean. It just because
Yeah.
they just I don't know, and the reason I say that is I really like where I go, and I go to the 99 market, so it's pretty much a Korean market, and now it's to the point where it's mostly Korean people shopping there, and mostly Rasa working in security, and so I get a kick out of it. But the reason I say is I was going in there, and there was this short little Asian woman. She was talking to the security guard. She turns around, and I'm walking, man, and so I just had to spin around to not hit her, and like and it was just funny. And I said, "Oh, excuse me." And she goes, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And it was just so cute because they're just the nicest people. You know what I mean? And it was just like so funny because, and I said, "Oh, no, it's okay." And it's funny because they know me somewhat now, but it's true what you said, Ruben, man. And I really just love humanity. But people with culture, to me, it's like, oh, man, they know me, but the people without culture, they're the ones that are already like, because it's kind of like the whole, like the eclipse for me, it was amazing to see people get emotional. Like, oh man, it's about time people begin to understand, to look up at the sky and be amazed at just the beauty of the world we live in. Like all this shit these people brought us, man. That's at its end because that shit can't last forever. But
Mm-mm.
the eclipses, this stuff is like it was so important to us. It was so important to us that we put it. There it is. Look at every time you get this right here. Okay, you see that? These are all the eclipses. And look at they keep coming around, because it was important to us. We put it down because this right here was a map. It was a map of the sky. And so we looked at this and we could see, we could see ourselves here. We could see the four colors, but there was so much going on here. But for us, four planets, four bodies were what we observed here. And so you need to see when you look at this is the moon. Okay. All these right here are Venus. This is the sun. It's also the earth, and so all these are tracking the counts during the day. And so it was important to us there. And people were asking, what would have been done? Well, we'd have been having a ceremony. We'd have been having a celebration. And it was beautiful that we were like on the beach seeing everybody just looking up. And it just seemed like the vibe was just different. People were just, I would say, very human in that day, and so to me, and this is it. This is a map of our journey through the galaxy. If you think
Mm,
about that,
mm.
who could tell us or give us more information than this?
Well,
Who would be better to guide us?
think of it like this as well. When it's cloudy and the clouds are dark, it rains,
Right?
right? There's a reaction when there's things in the sky, right? The cloud, for example, lightning, tornado, whatever. That's like the first layer of it. Now imagine taking the cloud and putting it into star positions and planet positions. Just like the cloud affects us here when it's dark, it rains, water. On what Daniel just explained, that map was how those clouds in the upper layers affect our planet. They're not just put there just because. We don't just go study them just because. Oh, okay, put a dot right there for the eclipse, put another dot right there for the other. No, because they knew that the eclipse was affecting the earth in a certain way, just like spring affects us in a certain way, summer affects us in a certain way. These celestial events are important and they're encoded in us. Believe it or not,
Right, right,
they're encoded in us. We didn't use words. We didn't use books. We
right,
didn't use prophets.
right.
We used the stars. And
Well,
the stars affect us like the clouds affect us.
but that's our book. It's called the Tonal Machotl. Okay, so the Machotl is a book. Like there's a book element to the tonal, you know, and so it's
Well,
interesting.
what I mean by books is what they brought as a book, a
Right,
Bible, words, doctrine.
right, right,
A
right.
person wrote this, like, oh my God, John wrote this. Apostle John wrote. Like, who cares?
But think about
Like,
it,
it
Ruben.
was about. It was about. And this is one thing we were talking. My homie Robin came through, and shout out to Robin. He said something profound today, dude.
The guy
He's
always
uh,
says
he's
profound
uh,
shit.
he's uh, he's sorry, they're texting me about the flight tomorrow. He's all. Have you ever seen the codicy where it's a man being swallowed by a serpent? Have you seen that?
Yeah,
Yeah. And he told me, he's all, you know what that means? And I was all, no, not quite. He's all, that's the man giving himself up to the serpent.
right.
Wisdom. Like,
Accepting the knowledge.
yeah, he's
Mm.
eating the serpent. Wisdom is taking him and
Yeah,
he's going to teach him. And so he's all, there's another side of it too. Have you ever seen a face coming out of a serpent's mouth,
that's like Quetzalcoatl glyph an art piece that I had.
right? Have you ever seen a man's face coming out of a serpent's mouth? That's the man who has mastered serpent
Right.
wisdom. He's no longer going into the serpent and submitting to the wisdom of the serpent. He knows it, and he comes out of his mouth.
And
Yeah.
we're talking about that person, Ruben. It's Se Acatl Topilzin Quetzalcoatzin.
Mm,
Like that's an actual person that they documented that person's life. You know.
right.
So, but
So
and then
these,
and then there's Tlawish Kalpantecutli, this fucking little kid that looks German, but he's fucking with all shit.
shout out Lawis.
Or shout out to his homie Lucas. And
Oh, yeah, Lucas. Shout out
shout out to
Lucas.
Chris. Shout out to Chris who
Shout
has
out.
a
What's the
beard
little
and
girl's name?
no
Citlali,
more
right?
beard.
The little girl's name is Citlali from Plant
Oh
Based.
yeah, right. Citlali.
Shout
Right,
out,
right,
shout
right.
out, San Citlali.
Yeah,
Shout out to
Citlali.
all,
All
shout out
those
to
kids.
all the vendors and
Yeah,
the
right.
vendors, man. That family right there at Plant Based Aslan, man. You guys are gonna, you watch, man. In 10 years, 15, 20,
And in
100.
1 year.
I mean,
Hey, but
we're 2 years strong. We're two
right.
years strong at Plant Based. This is our second. This is going into the third year, and you feel like the community, and you feel the energy that comes with that space that we're creating. And all we want is to go back to understanding what Daniel just explained. How
Hey, but
far
you know
can
what
we
too,
get
brother?
into it? How
I
far
want
can we learn? How far can we teach our children? Because when we teach our children that, instead of trying to fix a system that was meant to design, it was created to enslave and exploit you.
right.
The doctrine of discovery says that they were going to take the enemies of Christ, excuse me, and put them into perpetual slavery. That means forever. That means forever. That means we're in it now. And that the kids that will be born from us will be into perpetual slavery. And of course, they got to change it. They got to call it like money and work and education. Of course, they're going to change the name to their concept of perpetual slavery. What breaks perpetual slavery? What Daniel just explained.
Hey, but you know, too, Ruben, I want to also give credit to the homie in the chat, man. Is Marco? Marco was talking about something, and I think it was really important because we were talking about it. Is it
Shout
when
out,
you
Mark.
look back at our people, there was a time when the Hopi and our people were more people of the serpent, and that's when we talk about the serpent when they separated, and this was way back, and it's just that we were people together, but then we make choices and we split, and it's not, it's just and we make that choice, and so a
When they
lot.
went, when they made the trail from Utah to Mexico,
Yes,
there was tribes that left, that
yeah,
stopped.
yes,
They no longer believed in the vision of fulfilling that path, and they stayed in the areas that they liked
right.
and inhabited it.
But I'm saying it's a beautiful story of us at a time when we were different people, and then through that separation, we followed different things, but we still at our origin, had the same concepts, because I always try to say, us as native people, we look up. We look up at the sun because no matter where you are on the planet, it's the same sun, and so, um, you know, and that's what I was trying to explain to people that our people always looked up at the sky. The sky was where, and again, to think about it, the sky was all the mother, like Koyol Shaokui. Okay, Koyol Shaokui is literally the celestial dancing mother. Nothing to do with the moon, because does the moon come out during the day? Yes, it does. Not really the best symbol of nighttime. It's a good symbol of nighttime, but it's not a true symbol of nighttime because you see the moon during the day. Think of the eclipse, and it's just that people want to do that because that's kind of like modern day. We kind of take concepts and we put them together. But if you look at all the stars, the moon doesn't exist in the stars. The moon only exists to Earth. It's only a satellite of our planet. You look at Koyoshakwi, and she's the night sky. She's creation. Everything that's night, everything that's above us is creation. And so that stone in and of itself is a guide to the sky, And so remember the 400 stars. That's the 400 points that we use because we're doing the math. We do the Walis, the first 20, because 5, 5, 5, we're 20. We're 20 and we're in the center of the calendar. You see us here. Then when we begin to count, the next level of the count is 400. So the story that she tells us is that we begin at 20 and then we go, because you know what? Just like in danza, when you start, there'll be a certain danza that it's 20 steps. And then by the end, you've completed 400 steps. But most of the time, the first step is a 13, which is a tlali. Tlali, it represents the earth, because earth is a count of 13. And as you start wrapping the 13s, they become 26. Then another 26 wrapped, and it's 52. And so we begin to understand these numbers because they're important in the sequence of nature. And so it's kind of funny to me. And I mean, I know it is what it is, but Taylor Swift, my homie, she's the sacred 13. She loves the number 13. And so it's funny. Those of us that are on this sequence of nature, we see these numbers, and it's just interesting, regardless of what color you are, if you follow the sequence of nature, you can master this experience.
Exactly, because it's math.
It's it's so.
Math.
But add creativeness, Ruben. How many times is the mathematician creative?
Right.
In this society,
right. It's not.
They can't be
It's
the
not.
same.
It's not. It's their creation through math is linear and it's square. It's buildings. It's
Where does a line exist in nature?
Right. But so I explained earlier that we are prisoners of war, right? That's one reality. One reality, if
that's not our reality anymore. It's the reality they want to impose
it's
on
the
us.
general reality that's given to us when we go to school and we listen and we try
Especially
we try to follow a society and we try to run for council and we try to run for senate and we try to be the president. That's our reality. But then there's another reality. There's a reality that no one can distort or confuse and those are the movements of time and nature.
Well, I call it truth.
Right? It is truth.
Truth. It's truth. And you don't use truth as a tool,
Right.
And
So
we live in truth.
How did we get to these places? I would imagine that we would sit there and observe, keep going, keep observing. 100 years? No, 200 years.
Ruben,
No,
when you're listening is when you're learning. When you're speaking, you're not really. I mean, I know this. When I speak, I'm not learning. I'm just regurgitating what I think that I know. But when I'm stopping, I'm listening, then the wheels begin to turn. As I think that I learned the most when I was a third grade teacher. Because I'm so tainted. I'm so indoctrinated, like you said, into the system. And I was lucky enough to be so indoctrinated that somehow I was able to get out of it. Because I think the sweat, the ceremony, but just the love, the truth.
those things are outside of colonialism.
Right.
You got to define that. You got to really, really. LA Natives podcast, all those brothers, Las Taslan, those that have done ceremonies, you went outside of colonialism for an answer.
Well, colonialism's like the dollar, Ruben.
But we usually use colonialism to try to find the answer. Why? Because they go, I read this book and it told me this. Right?
Yeah, but Ruben, if I
that's where colonialism is different from. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No. Like Ruben, it's like we were saying, when you look at the stone, you don't need to know how to read to read it.
Right.
That's the difference between us and them. Okay. their shit, you gotta have all these rules to understand. Nah, man, you just look at this. You just look at it and it's right there. And that's what I'm saying. That's what blew me away about teaching the third and fourth graders. They were like, teacher, don't you see that? I was like, oh shit. Because they were natural. Our ancestors lived without this intrusion, without this caca on our head. So the children that are close to the creator, they see it because this is written. Okay, think about it. This information is written in the way that our DNA collects information. Fire, not fire. Lines and dots. It's a binary code. And so when they explain us to the information, we're taking it in binary because they already knew that our brain works that way. Fire, not fire. Synopsis, fires and not fires. Basically, a dot and a circle, a line and a dot, a line and a dot. And so this is this binary system that we have in our brain that they understood, and that's how computers communicate today. Our ancestors laid it down, and so it's like they want to talk about all this shit, but without our system, their stuff don't. They can't send information to that robot out in Mars.
Of course they can't because they're thieves.
Well,
They're
but Ruben, I'm saying
expert.
that
No, but they're expert thieves. We
yeah,
can't be surprised. We can't go, and now they use computers, and now they're doing this, and now they're thieves. Everything, the whole World's Fair,
right.
the World's Fair was a place where everyone in the world would gather and go, hey, look, I invented this thing. It's called mobile fire. And then somebody would go, oh, I want the patent on that. And then they would go patent it and then go, okay, cool, let's not put this out.
See, but Ruben, that's the problem. It's not about the individual. And you got to think about this whole experiment that's called the United States of America, because people say, I'm American, but America stretches from Alaska in the north to Tierra del Fuego to South America. Every single individual on these two continents is American. Okay. It's such a pendejo thing to say, I'm American. Well, shit, man, I'm a man. I've got brown skin. Like, dude, you're not saying anything, but that's
But
what
when
they
you
do.
use when
They'll
you
tell
use
you this shit that's just clear as fuck, and they'll say it loud as if they're saying something true. And I just call them and say, man,
when you but
if you
when
turn the
you use
volume on that, you didn't say anything. You're not saying
when
anything at all. You
when
know?
you use the word America, you're in the colonial mind frame and understanding. That means you're into books, you're into education, you're into these things.
Well, I think you're in a
When you
deception.
go to ceremony and you start your journey in the in outside of colonialism, you get different answers. And if you take it further and further and further, when you go into the math, understanding the Nemotemi, understanding the movements of Venus, and those are very, very complex calculations. You know, right now we're barely in kindergarten. We're trying to figure our way back. But once we submit to understanding, as Daniel has pointed out, this binary code of math, then it fits perfectly with our spirit. It fits perfectly with nature because we're never separated from nature. Never. They drilled it in our head that we were. Drilled it,
Ruben,
drilled it, drilled it.
the thing is,
But
our
they
way,
never did.
the native way is the native way. Like, it's
Mhm.
not a forceful way. It's just the way. And the reason I say that is because, okay, math isn't supposed to be complicated. If we were taught math correctly, the numbers that were relevant, okay, and like I'm telling you, man, 13 is a relevant number. Numbers that are important, there's like 1, 2, 3, 5, 9, 8, 13. Like, these are all numbers that are just, they show up. And if we use them enough, it wouldn't be complicated because it's 26. And then when we hit like 2012, it was 26,000. So it just kept hitting this number. It just keeps growing, but they're the same numbers. They just get bigger.
Mm.
It's the way 13 becomes 130, becomes 13,000. But it's just, we're taught to go 10, 20, 30, and that just doesn't, it just is easy. But that's not, we're 20s. We're counts at 20. And so you do 20 times 13, that's 260. You do that shit enough, and it's got these numbers going to start showing up like 5 and 8. 5 and 8 is a 13 because Venus is 5. We're 8. 8 Earth years, 5 Venus years. 8 and 5. You begin to understand. Then you got danza. You got the danza dances. You're doing the 5-step with the 8-step. And then you start to go, okay, it's starting to integrate in my life. Wait, okay. But then if we did this correctly, every 20 days there would be the tianguis, where we gathered every 20 days. Because even when we were talking about time, a week did not exist in our ancestors' time. It wasn't a Friday in our ancestors' time. Okay, this whole time and concept, like even then, the 7 days, it took SEIU, the labor, people to get us a weekend. Because if it wasn't for them, they'd have us work 7 days a week. Fuck it. Why is there a weekend? Because when they're not working, they just look at the paper and say, "Oh, we can do it more money." But they're not human. They don't think human. And so we, like you're saying, colonial perspective is kind of like saying, it's kind of like a pig that flies in the air. It does flips and shit. Okay, that's colonial perspective. Believe in it and hold it as long as you want. And as we all believe in it, it's going to exist. The moment we believe it doesn't exist, it's going to stop existing because it really needs a lot. A lie needs a shitload of money, time, and energy. Think about it. Why does a Hollywood movie cost millions, even billions of dollars? Why? Because the background people don't look like me. In the real world, they look like me, but they don't want people to look like me. Remember, in the future, Mexicans don't exist. So all Hollywood's got to make it expensive is all shit. Because you're in LA, everyone looks like me, but they don't want them to look like me. They want them to look like them. So they pay all this money just to have a background scene where nobody looks like me. So they're creating a reality. So if you're an actor, you're basically a liar. And I'm not an actor, so I can't exist there because, man, every time we lie, our soul weighs less. Every time you lie. So you think about it. The chimpanzee, that guy's floating. Fuck, he's got no soul, dude. That guy can say whatever the fuck he wants. And if you believe that, go ahead, keep believing in the flying pig doing flips up in the air because you know what? At some point, that shit's gonna just float into nowhere, and we're gonna be back here with no electricity here, and that's the real shit, And so,
Dope,
that shit is lies, but man,
Yo,
rooted in truth,
Zero, Daniel, I think we have a caller. Can you hear us?
Oh,
Who is it? Is it Marco?
Yeah. I was just listening. I didn't know if I could just like jump in or what.
But yeah, who's it? Who's it?
Don't worry. What's your name? What's your name, brother?
My name's Arturo.
What's up, Arturo? How
I'm
you
from,
doing?
Going on,
Kansas
Arturo?
City.
Oh shit, Kansas City.
Kansas
Welcome,
City?
brother.
Yeah.
No way.
That's the northernmost
How
point
did you
of old
hear
Mexico,
about
right?
us
You know,
over
the
there?
Midwest.
How'd you hear about us over there?
Man, just going through YouTube
Oh, cool.
Oh, that's dope.
and
on.
clicking on native stuff.
Fuck yeah, that's cool, man.
That's
Well,
dope, right,
pleasure.
Zero?
Yeah, hell yeah.
So the
pleasure.
algorithm is doing its job.
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Hey,
So,
even the
do you have
heart
a
of the
comment? Do you have a
country, that's
comment
dope.
of some sort? Did you want to add to our
Yeah.
conversation?
Well, not just a comment, but I just wanted to say I like the topic tonight
Thank you.
because I thought about stuff like this before.
Mm.
That under the laws of war, everything that they've done to us, it's like okay in their eyes.
Right, because we're
So
expanding.
yeah, I agree that
Yeah, absolutely. But because I mean, think about it. They wanted to take the land. The land had people on it. Those people had to be treated a certain way, and there were always going to be a threat to the people that were taking over, right? Because I mean, this used to be their land, but we got drilled with so much
It's
stuff.
still our land, brother.
No, and here's another thing. If it's our land, we shouldn't want to go, yeah, here's the paper that says that this is our land. Our land is the way we connect with it, what relationship we have with it.
All this immigration bullshit, this wave of immigrants coming back to the United States, bro, I don't believe in any of that shit. How I see it, our people are coming home.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
And that's making them scared
Yeah.
because they're not our people. And they're it's kind of like the roses in the desert are starting to dry up and they're bummed because they're not, but you can't be a rose in the desert, man. You
Like the
can't.
state of Texas, like they're taking it upon themselves to like viciously stop this fake wave of like immigrants coming from the South.
Okay, but
Weird,
Mondo,
right?
Mondo, you know this. I don't know if you know this. And I love the president of Mexico. That guy, because he made it clear, and I knew this. He said, you know what? I don't deal with states. Okay, don't send me shit from Texas. I deal with the federal government. So anything, and it's true. Texas talking shit like, oh, we're gonna do that. You know what? Mexico says, no, you send me anybody, I'll send it right back. And they don't tell you that. They're beginning to say that, hey, Mexico ain't gonna accept them, and that's a country. That's not a state in Mexico. So for Texas to act like it does, that's a Texas thing,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Right.
And so let that play
Yeah.
itself
Some
out.
straight white racist.
What you think, brother?
I think it's like to split us up. I've been calling us
Right.
Mexicans and Mexicans Americans. That's all part of
Right.
the laws of war. They can do that to us, and
Divide and
them
conquer.
domesticating us is where it really gets deep, because the more domesticated you are, the more in line you are with their
Agenda.
vision
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the world. Yeah, and exactly, their agenda.
Yeah, but
So
brother, what do you do out there in
it's
Kansas?
been
What's your how do you how do you get by?
I paint houses here and
Okay.
there, construction.
Oh, good
Yeah,
shit.
yeah,
Good shit.
So
yeah,
How is it
yeah,
out there right now, weather
yeah.
wise?
It's getting better.
Damn.
Yeah,
But
Okay.
yeah,
I mean, I totally agree with you that the key to keeping this alive is telling us lies, right? They lied. They lied all the time. They lied when they got here. They lied when they made their schools. They lied when they shoved their religion down our throat. They lied with the things they told us that were healthy, like the food pyramid, right? That food pyramid is
yeah,
like a big old.
yeah,
That shit
Right.
is a fucking big old
Right.
hoax. That shit ain't even real. You fucking come to find out, it was the fucking dairy industry that had a lot to do with it, and the lobbyists that.
they want you to eat eggs, bread, bacon, sausage, all the worst shit you can fucking
All the
eat in the
stuff to make
morning.
some money,
Right,
Yeah. It's just,
right,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and,
But
and it's
that's
the
part
same
of the
food. It's the
right.
same. Go for it, brother.
yeah. That's part of them keeping us under control. Is if they control what we call food,
Right.
then they keep us under them. Then we have to come to them for whenever we need something. We got to come to them. It's like when you got a dog that's lived with you for a long time. He knows that he's got to come to you to get the food,
Mm,
and that's basically, like
That's an
what
interesting
we
point.
are
That's a
to
good
them.
point.
We're dogs.
right.
Yeah,
Until we break the perspective, until we get to a
yeah,
place where we understand this is what the shift of 2012 really kind of people really haven't grasped yet, is that the frequency of the sun is changing. So then
Right.
the inner lineages that live inside of you are changing. So it's not as easy as it is to convince someone of something. You know what I mean? Like the what are you guys laughing at?
He's asking how much.
Chinese are coming too, dude.
Yeah, just trying to
Homie
trick
Three
you.
Pac says, there's a lot of Chinese people coming from the south too, dude. Like,
That's funny.
I
No,
mean,
but somebody was asking, what does an eighth
no,
cost out
no,
there,
this
homie?
open border thing, like, there's all kinds of people coming, right, Zero?
but what I'm trying to point out is that in the early stages of media, when we're talking about TV, radio, things of that nature, it was easily to convince people that, I mean, I think there was one time where they were having a radio show and they were acting out like an alien invasion, and everybody was hearing it on the radio, and they fucking freaked the fuck out, and they really thought it was happening,
Orson Welles.
right?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
really
It was
freaked the fuck out, and everybody was like, "What the
right.
fuck? It's happening!" and blah blah blah, and then fucking, they're going crazy because they think it's happening. So as we moved on with technology, we created TV, and then it moved on to another type of manipulation, right? And now we're on phones. Phones is a little harder because now you got free will posting these things, right? And you got people from other countries and other ethnicities going, well, maybe I shouldn't hate Mexicans. Maybe, maybe I shouldn't. These guys are cool. I like this. I like Chinese food. I like Chinese art. I like Japanese. I like going to Japan and whatever it is. This connectivity of this device is hard to control. It's going to take time for the algorithms. That's why the algorithms have to get into a motion where they're like, it's kind of picture a school of fish and they're all kind of flopping everywhere. But when the algorithm gets control, it can make the fish go in one motion, right? All it has to do is post the right things, and everybody's like, and let me give you an example, George Floyd. Everybody was on that in like 10 seconds. Everyone knew about that. See how they manipulated the school of fish? We gotta be aware. We gotta be aware of the
What the hell did
technology.
he say?
Go ahead, homie. I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Uh, what what if we become the algorithm? And wouldn't we
Mm.
figure out how to make it happen?
So then,
Because I'm
when
thinking like
you say
if
something
we
of
need the
that,
flu,
when
Right.
you say
Right.
something of that nature, I would go, I'm interested. But if you're going to use the same tactics and same mathematics, then I'm not
no,
interested.
we leave all that. Yeah,
You would have to,
no, the
you could
mathematics.
create an algorithm using 13, 20, 400. You could, I did with push ups. I remember one time my homie, shout out Rafa, the DJ for Plant Based Aslan. I was like, yeah, dude, I'm doing 136 push-ups a day. He's all, that's random. What do you mean 136? I'm like, no, dude, it's like 4 sets of 52. Oh. And it was just like those number sequences start to, like, as Daniel pointed out earlier, start to become a part of your algorithm, like the brother just mentioned. We can create an algorithm. It's called a community consciousness. Inside our hearts,
Yeah,
we can create that. It's far more powerful than Wi-Fi and computers and this and that. But if we use the tools in the correct manner, like the brother is suggesting from Kansas City, creating our own algorithm, then that's the evolution that our ancestors are waiting for. That's gonna, I always said I'll never see the change of our gente, no matter what I'll work towards it. But I know that it's gonna be 100, maybe 200 years away from this point in time if I do what I need to do in terms of my part. Sky will have his part, Mondo's doing his part, Daniel does his part, and the brother from Kansas City does his part.
yeah.
Because we all do our own part, you know?
Hey, I'm sorry. Hey, homie, what's your name? Just so
100
I got
years.
it. Just so we got it clear. What's the homie's name from Kansas City?
Arturo,
Arturo. Okay, I think you said okay. It's Arturo, man. Well,
or
man, I just
Arturo, if you would say it like a white boy.
Art. That's cool, man.
Right
Good
on,
shit.
man. Well, I'm glad you called in, man, and it's
Yeah,
cool to
for
see
sure.
that the podcast is reaching a large part of Turtle Island, and if you have any other comments, my bro?
Yeah, I was thinking about this thing, and let me know what you guys think.
Okay.
I was thinking that everything that's happening today with them domesticating us to their will comes from Europe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they said it came from they got the teachings from the pyramids over there, Egypt,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the Egyptian people were messing around with a lot of crossbreeding. So I was thinking like maybe there was some crossbreeding with the humans. The people that were there, they were more pure because you're right. They didn't have to speak much. They didn't have to leave a book for somebody to remember how where to go and find some good water, clean water in the summer or whatever. Um, so I was thinking that somewhere around the Egyptian times, they started domesticating people like us uh, that didn't speak the language, and it got deeper in Europe. And the Europeans, that's how they became so aggressive to one another and started creating these different languages. Because at the end of the day, we're going to be a part of their agenda as long as we're speaking the languages that they taught us. Spanish and English is both of theirs, and they're very similar. Even the numbers, and I get what you guys are making a connection with certain numbers, but we got the numbers from them. There's no numbers in the Aztec pyramid thing. You don't see no numbers. You don't see numbers anywhere where we're counting with our fingers or whatever. But to get back to my point before I lose track of, I'm thinking that in Europe there was a whole bunch of crossbreeding. People didn't have no culture, so it was easy to go and crossbreed with somebody else, and then all these nations up there became, and they started trying to attack the people in the Middle East, and then eventually all the history that they teach us got to that, and then they came to Africa and here around the same time and started doing the same thing to us, and now we're all crossbred with some other type of tribe, right?
Mhm.
So I feel like
And you think,
as long
and you
as we're
think,
crossbred,
and you think with the crossbreeding that made us weaker,
weaker, dumber,
dumber.
way dumber. And when I say dumber, it's just it disconnected us. It disconnected us from instinct, from stuff that we knew, that we grew up knowing. So we didn't.
That's one good point. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that yes, that was tragic that this type of system went through all of the world, raping things.
And,
Yeah.
And
everyone has their own understandings, right? But
Yeah, because I was gonna say,
but,
if I get a chance to,
I get what he's saying. I
chime
get
in,
what he's
let
saying.
me,
But here's one thing though that I put in above the power of anything a human can do. The movement of nature and how it works, that's why our ancestors were so brilliant in mapping stars and celestial events, because they knew that these celestial events changed the frequency inside the people. You know what I mean? It was a lot easier to cause wars in a time of darkness. It was a lot harder to do it in a time of peace. These stars created an up and down or just a fluctuation of emotions and things that happened that we did in society because of these celestial events. We do it now where it's just a calendar that someone made up and there's no math or logic to it, and they just said, fuck it, one day we'll have it and one day we won't have that year. You know, every 4 years we won't have a day. Like, it's just so, it's like scrambled eggs wisdom.
Zero, did you celebrate this whole solar eclipse thing?
You know,
Was it something special to you, or?
I took a moment while it was happening. I automatically, here's what I'm talking about, is that I didn't put a lot of thought to it. I didn't go gather things, but when it happened, it sat me down. Right? We were walking, right, Daniel?
yeah, I know. And
We turned around.
You did take time, but let me see it. I got to come
One
in.
second,
Just,
one second.
I want to answer Arturo's statement because
One
I
second.
think
One second. One
what
second.
he's saying is exactly what we're talking about, because he's saying the numbers and those things, and I agree. We look at this stuff and we don't see the numbers. We don't. And I just want to take a quick second to just say, okay,
Yeah,
You could do it. You could do it.
brother,
One
check it
second.
out. So when we look at this expression here,
One second. I'm
Okay, go
telling.
ahead.
He asked me. Armando asked me if something happened
go ahead.
during the eclipse. Did I do something special? The eclipse grabbed me and made me do something special. Because I turned around while we were walking. Me and Daniel were walking on Venice, and I turned around and I go, "Hey man, why is everybody sitting down?
right?
Like, what's going on? Like, I've never seen people sit." And then Daniel looks at the clock and goes, "Oh, the eclipse started." At that moment, something in my mind, something in my heart said, "Sit down." And I closed my eyes and I put on some medicine music and I started saying a prayer to myself. I started wishing that humanity would get into the current of change and going back to the ways of nature. I said a prayer for my family. I said a prayer for Plant-Based Aslan. I said a prayer for Malinali Superfoods. I said, it just sat me down. That's what I'm talking about. So now you can say what you were going to say about the calendar, because these events, I think Daniel's right. We had rituals that led up to this. Oh, now it's the eclipse. Okay, and then ritual. Oh, now it's the solstice. Okay, ritual, and then boom, and we followed the current of time and true reality because it's based on the sun's movement. Go for it, Daniel. Now you could say, "I'm sorry, bro. I just had to
Well,
I think
I
Arturo was
did.
going to say something. Go ahead, Arturo.
I, I was like, I did mushrooms on that day,
Oh, damn.
and
Even
I
better.
drove like 5 hours away just to see the grand finale or whatever,
There you
and it
go.
was nice. It was nice.
Right on.
Yeah,
Well,
it was
you
like it was
connected
like
in a different way. But good.
yeah, I guess
We all figure out
it
a
was
way to
nice.
do it. We all figure out a way to do it.
You know, there was a lady that right here in LA during the eclipse. I guess a few minutes in, she went onto a bridge, and she threw her two little girl kids off the bridge,
What?
Oh damn! I didn't hear about
and then she ended up speeding off a cliff, crashing into a tree because she was paranoid of the eclipse. So something was negatively spiritual about it. Like
Holy smokes.
it was
I
all
didn't
over the
know.
news. I don't know if you guys
I
saw
didn't hear
it.
about that.
I
That's-
didn't
I didn't see it.
hear about that.
So people take it as a good thing, and then obviously people take it on a whole different direction.
But Celeste, that's another good point on how celestial energies affect even an individual. I know one thing. Daniel always mentioned the work that I used to do before.
Did an evil spirit follow her around that day? Who knows, dude?
It's not that. I think when I used to work with
mental illness?
when I used to work with the autistic kids, we always had issues on the full moon. Like for some reason, it was just the full moon had, and it might be just an energetic pull, a magnetic pull, something like that. But I mean, some people just lose their wig, and it's unfortunate and sad
The real
that
part is
somebody
sleep.
got hurt. Two kids got hurt because someone couldn't handle the energy.
Hey, so
These
can I
energies
finish
are
this?
real, man.
Can I finish this? What you guys think?
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, Daniel, let me see the
What's
numbers.
up? What's up? What were you gonna do?
All right, though. So check it out, homie. You were talking about the numbers, and how we don't see numbers.
Yeah.
And I've heard that so many times, brother, and I understand it. So when I see the numbers here, so I want to help you see the numbers because you're right.
Okay, let me see.
We don't take, and then let's go further. Okay, so you see the circles? All the
Okay,
circles, those are numbers. These are all numbers. These are all and the thing is, it's like if you don't see the numbers, you're just looking at, oh, it's a beautiful art piece. No, they're counting, and so you can see it here too. Because look at, let's just count. This is se, so it's se, ome, ye, nawi. So we're even going to go in our native language, so that it's like your fingers, se, ome, ye,
And
nawi.
it goes up to 10,
I'm sorry.
and it goes up to 10 as well.
It goes all the way. It's endless, brother. But it actually goes to 20. At 20 is when we use the 0, because we don't use the 0 at 10. We use the 0 at 20, and that's why there's 20 in the middle. Okay, there's a 20, and then, like I said, the first symbol in the count is sepactli. Why? Because se is the first number in the count, and so through the language it tells us this. Now we were talking. I wanted to understand that the 4 squares also represent 4 colors: red, white, yellow, and black. So they already knew about us mixing, as you were saying, because when you mix genetics, it only makes your genetics stronger. It doesn't make them weaker. And so,
No,
again, too, this is
nature
that.
don't show that though.
I'm saying again.
Nature, it doesn't show that in nature.
Well,
It's
actually, it does because
the lion
let me explain.
and the
So I
tiger.
use plants to explain this. Is if you cross a plant, look, we're talking about sativas and indicas. When you cross a sativa with an indica plant, you get the qualities of both plants, and then you get an extra quality. And so, does that make sense? And so we as
Yeah,
humans,
I get it. So it
yes,
might be stronger for
yes,
us,
okay.
the ones that are going to smoke it, but it might make it weaker for it to survive out in the wild where it's naturally supposed to be, because it's not supposed to be in your greenhouse.
Okay, but here's the thing,
indoors.
brother. They all grow on the planet. They all grow on the planet, and kind of like our people that had the Spanish, just made a new race out of our people, forcefully. Correct? So
Yeah, and they documented it.
and so that hybrid now. Think about this. As I was trying to explain, our people celebrated all this because we had a guide to tell us when it was happening. Now, finally, the experiment starts starting to catch up with us, because when they first got here, they didn't care about any of this. We're at 550 years since the invasion, and now they're beginning to look up at the sky, and so they're beginning to catch up with us.
Yeah.
And it's like that woman that Mondo was talking about. What's sad is that, man, and I knew this. The frequency is coming to us stronger. So if you're one of those people that believes that the chimpanzee is God's answer to everything, and that's like coming into your head, then your end point is going to be whatever that guy's sending you. And if he's sending her an idea to throw her kids off the bridge and run to your shit, that's where they're going to end up. That's not the end of this song. My song is creation, it's love, and it's harmony. The reason I know that is because I'm using nature and the sequence of nature to find harmony. You know, it's just this is
Right.
this is the piece that I use, and I like what you said because it's, man, we
you gotta
still don't
respect
understand it.
it.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You got to respect nature.
Right, and flow with it,
You
not
know.
control it. Right, because think about it. In nature,
Right,
who runs
right.
nature? I came out of a woman. I didn't come out of a man. And their whole philosophy about man doing everything, it doesn't flow with nature. But if you think about it, all these things that they're saying that are wrong are said by men, and they're not even said from experience. Because if you think about it, if you
Yeah.
take on religion, you don't need facts anymore. You don't need any science. You
But-
just have faith. Fuck it. You know why? And so that's really, to me, what it is. When you decide to have faith, why do you need science? Why do you need any facts anymore? You know?
Yeah.
And so
But that's
I don't
part
live
of
with
the
religion. I live
domestication.
with facts.
True.
Is making us believe that we gotta. Oh wait, I can't hear him.
Huh?
I
You
can
can
hear you.
hear us somewhere? Hello?
Oh, I couldn't hear Danny for a second.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, no, that's part of the domestication is to make us believe that we should be listening, be guided by a man.
Yes. Thank
Because
you.
they're robbing the woman from giving her where she's supposed to be.
Right. Her proper place in creation.
Mother believed to be
Yeah.
at the center of a horrific murder-suicide. Investigators now looking at her social media, saying the self-proclaimed astrologer made several posts about the total solar eclipse before the tragedy. And Eyewitness News reporter Leanne Suter has been following this story since it happened. And Leanne, what can you tell us?
David, that new information certainly giving us some insights into Danielle Johnson's state of mind on Monday. Her social media showing serious concerns about the eclipse. It's a heartbreaking.
Wow. That's sad. You know?
Suspect Danielle Johnson taking her own life by crashing into a tree. The burning question for so many, why?
Yeah, I promise you, she wasn't following any indigenous doctrine.
That was crazy, right, Zero?
Damn.
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
rest in peace.
that's not good, man. But again, dude, that's not
Yeah.
a native perspective. You know,
It's the complete opposite, right?
Yes,
Like
it is.
that's the prime example of like, wow.
You know, I mean, like, you know, I'm trying to be with a straight face, but that's just not us, man.
But you know what though? I think there was a lot of this this eclipse. A lot of media put a lot of fear into it. You know,
They did.
But that's their
It was-
thing. That's their shit. All day, every day. They're consistent. That they consistently throw that all the time.
Right.
And
Wow.
today's no different than, and tomorrow it's gonna be the same shit. Different, scared about something else, you know. And the thing is, though, what's fucked up is that there is things to be scared of, man. These people are just, because if you don't have any guide, if you're not rooted in anything, could you imagine today hearing and seeing what you see? Whew, it's tough, man. It's
I
tough.
think the biggest thing.
You know,
to
I
fear is
did trip
oneself,
out,
to be
though.
honest.
I think what was more exciting to me when I saw this rocket just fly into fucking space a couple weeks ago, bro. Like, I don't know. I think Elon Musk flew a rocket. I don't know if you saw it.
I didn't see
Yeah,
it.
Bro.
Elote Musk.
It was crazy. You know? Because apparently the best view of the eclipse was in Texas, right? Like, I guess,
Right.
you know, hundreds of thousands of people flew into Texas
Oh, no way. Yeah.
to see
Yeah,
like
and-
the perfect
And,
position.
and it was covered. It was all cloudy. Right, dude. Texas got clouded out. Texas got clouded out. It's like,
Yeah. The brilliance of sky watching in you know.
But you know, poor kids that got threw off that bridge. They had nothing to do with the craziness that this woman was going through.
Like I said, you know,
She was
energetically.
She was a social media influencer. She was a astrologist out of all things, right, Zero?
I mean, I like, you know, energetically, these things exist. We it's kind of like the wind. The wind blows, but we don't see it. It's not a color. It's not like, oh, brown is the color brown comes to, and then I get to feel the wind. No, the wind is invisible. So this energy is invisible, and it could affect you in a certain way, especially if you start messing with shit like that. You know, tarot card readings and things like that. I mean, who knows what kind of things happen there? I don't know too much about it. I don't really study that. I study the what Daniel talks about in terms of trying to fit in the math in sequences and knowing how to be in tune with nature as best as I can, using whatever reference I can. And the biggest references I use are the sun and the times it comes out, the morning time, the sunset, the noon
And
time.
Ruben, the thing is as humans, man, somebody said it in the chat. It's so true, man. We have the capability to make ourselves believe almost anything, man. And that's very, very scary, you know. And I mean, I think me like today, man. I'm glad I made it to I am, but man, a lot of times in my head, I just think of some dumb
She
shit.
did it all, Zero. She killed her boyfriend, she killed her 2 kids, and then she killed herself, dude. Like,
Well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know what that is, right? A self-fulfilling
And
prophecy.
that was like fucking Heaven's Gate or whatever. It's like,
Well, if
everybody's
you believe in something so bad, you make it true.
oh
You
yeah.
know, you
Oh,
you
yeah.
you complete
But
the prophecy.
the color stone.
I was gonna say, yeah, is he still on? He's been quiet.
Did he go down?
Yeah, no, I'm just
Oh.
listening to you guys. I
So,
don't know when to jump in.
like, I want to address it. I just want to give my 2 cents on what you were talking about in terms of like having these individuals from Europe come and just rape everything and what you call dumbing down the race, right? And
Yeah.
I think that if we look at it in the human perspective, right, where it's just humans going in and disrupting and raping and forcing their lineage into another person, right? But there's other things that govern us. It's not just us.
Right.
You don't tell the sun to come up. The sun comes up. We don't tell the moon to be full. The moon gets full. There's other things that govern us. And so I get what you're saying in terms of, yes, it dumbs us down, but there are warriors that still exist with this mixed blood. And the way I like to look
For sure.
and the way I like to look at it, brother, is when you have mixed blood or if you have the result of rape inside of you, you can choose to be like them or you can choose to be totally different than them. And when you choose to be totally different than them, then you're forcing them to be you. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it's still hard though when you speak when you have to look at the world through their eyes.
No, you don't.
So
they have to look at the world
do.
through my eyes. They have to look at the world through my eyes, and I'll explain how. And on an individual basis, I do have European blood in me due to rape. But that European blood, I don't eat meat. I'm not a Catholic. I don't drink their beer. I go to sweat lodges. I fast every day of the year. I fast for 5 days a year. That blood has to follow what I do. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, I see, yeah.
Exactly.
That's what I meant.
Exactly. And when you do that, you dominate them because you're not acting like them no more, even though you have their DNA. Do you understand? Yeah. Now they have to walk like me.
On the fence now.
They have to walk like me now because I'm in control. My heartbeat, my mind, my intention. They have to go to Temescal. When they start screaming and going, get out of the Temescal, get out of the Temescal, my blood goes, nope, nope, nope. Pass out. Pass out. Go ahead, pass out. That's what I tell that European blood in me. When I'm fasting for 5 days and it's crying for food, that European DNA that's inside of me going, come on, nobody's around. You can eat this food. Come on, please. I'm hungry. My native blood says no. We have a commitment. You see?
How long ago did you change your diet, Ruben?
Over like almost 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what's the biggest difference that you know that you notice?
Control of my emotions. Control of my emotions. A focused intention. Never feeling down that I don't have money, but knowing that the community loves me and everything that my family does for it. Those are real things, brother. You know, it's I'm not
That's
trying
nice.
I'm not trying to make it seem like
Can the homie buy some powders online?
Absolutely,
Can we get him some? Hey, bro,
Absolutely.
Ruben has some of the best powders you could take, bro, to change your life.
Absolutely, brother. It's a process, man. We have the power to control anything that's inside of us. And if that DNA exists inside of us, guess what? It's fasting. It's gonna fast, even
Yeah,
though it
the
cries.
diet.
Exactly, because my heart, my ancestors, my drops of blood now have a say.
Arturo, please go to Manalani Superfoods on Instagram. Send him a DM. Put in the order, bro.
Yeah.
And then you have
It was gonna change your life forever, bro.
Yeah.
Because when I took it, dude, I was done. I tapped out, dog. Like that's how good it was.
Yeah.
You know, Arturo, I was gonna say for me, I'm 55, and so what I found was the change made me have less pain. Like it was trippy, like because I used to have pain like just walking or doing shit, and man, it just I didn't have the pain anymore, and so it actually with less pain, I just got more active, and so I feel like I'm more active now than I've and healthier than I've been like say in 10 years.
So
And what led you to change your diet?
Oh man, for me it was I got sick. Like in 2018, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, and they said, okay, you could start on this metformin, and I got on that stuff, and it was not good. It caused a lot of pain. It made me worse. And so then I went to Stanford. The guy goes, well, the side effect of that metformin is the nerve pain. I'm like, what the fuck? So I jumped off of it. As soon as I jumped off of it, man, I felt better, and I just changed my diet. But I had actually changed my diet to the point that now if I eat sweet stuff, it doesn't taste good. Like, and I'd never been like that. I would just knock back Cokes. I was a real sweet tooth, but I've really waned off, and I've just learned to kind of drink more water. Really, I struggled with not drinking water, but
Nice.
So for me, it's like now I drink water more, and it just,
Well-
and again, too, I'm a big cannabis user, and so man, as I use cannabis, I find that I
Yeah, me
unlike other
too.
people, I don't eat that much. I don't get the munchies as much.
Yeah, that's what I do. I didn't eat today. I did a fast actually.
good.
That's good.
My thing.
I mean, I just feel clear in my mind too, though.
We got to understand one thing. Like a warrior's path is to be the last to eat.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
He's not gonna eat the first, even if he got home the first and everybody's happy to see him, and he's eating last, and he might not even eat at all.
Yeah.
It's a
interesting?
personal communication that we get when we do these things. We're going outside of the colonial perspective to get an answer. When I fast, the reason I stay in a fasted state, the reason I fast for the Nemotemi is because I go way, way, way out of the colonial perspective for answers. It's connected with the math that Daniel was talking about. It's connected with the movement of the sun. See how other things govern this human body?
Right.
Other things govern me, man. When they invite me to go to another country and share my music and share my lyrics and share the words that I get to come out of my body, those are thousands of years voices. I don't even know where those voices come from. I don't even know how I wrote those lyrics because it's them. I give all the credit to them. They're the ones speaking.
Have you
to
ever tried mushroom?
me.
Ruben,
When I was younger, I tried it a couple times, and I wrote that. I was talking to, I don't know who I was talking to, but a lot of people, and I'm not discouraging it, and I'm not debating it. Everyone has their own purpose, and the plants. I'm Malinali sign. So I understand plants. I understand. I'm very sensitive when it comes to plants. You know, I've taken hikuri when I was younger. I've messed with the Niño Santos, but when I was younger, it was recreational. It wasn't even like in a ceremony style. You know what I mean? The hikuri I was able to ingest was with my Uncle Al, and I trusted him to death. I trusted him with my life, and it was a great experience, and I learned a lot. But my sensitivity and my lineage, because I am 11 Malinali, I'm very sensitive to plants, and I understand. I'm not saying that I would never do it. I'm just saying that in that way. But I understood.
Oh, well, the reason I was asking was because you play music, and it'll help you create even better music because no, really,
No, I get it.
No, I mean, hey, you know.
No.
I myself, I use mushrooms, but I don't use them all the time. But it's funny you bring it up because this weekend, one of the homies hooked me up with some. He said, "Hey, you do the hongos?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I don't run across them too much." And he goes, "Well, I got some. You want some?" And I said, "Well, sure, I'll take some." I mean, because the thing is that,
yeah.
you know, as a
then
Mexican,
create-
we use mushrooms. But here's the thing, brother, and this is just me, okay? Is that I'm somewhat of a head case in the sense that I know what's in my head. So when I take mushrooms, I'm not surprised. You know, it's not like, oh shit, I thought that. But if you hide from things in your head and you take mushrooms, you're gonna come to some truth. And sometimes it's hard to people.
I had some fucking bad trips, bro.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Yo,
man.
bro,
Story time.
I felt like I was on
Try
fucking acid,
microdosing.
man.
Try microdosing.
So,
I'm not
you know,
talking about
me,
this.
No,
I'm-
right, brother. You
Look.
can't hear he says microdosing.
Okay, look, this is how bizarre it was, bro. Like, and I'm just speaking the honest truth. I think I was fucked up on some shrooms. You know, we picked it up from the dealer, you know, and apparently he was growing it in his house or in his apartment. He looked like a fucking scientist, you know. But
That's usually the best ones.
right, and he called them small caps. We're like, whatever, you know. So we take the small caps and like some peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. An hour passes by. We're fucking pissed. We're like, dude, we got robbed, bro. Like, we ain't
Ooh,
stealing
that's the
shit.
problem.
So we called
need more.
the dealer.
Oh,
We embarrassed ourselves. We called the dealer. We're like, yo, bro, we want our fucking money back. He was like, well, how long ago did you guys take them? He was like, I was like, an hour ago. He's like, no, just wait another hour. The minute I
What
fucking, the second I hung up the phone, bro, everything changed. And
It's funny.
I was stuck on the floor, bro. I couldn't get up. My whole body was like glued onto the floor.
Wow.
That's how bad my trip was.
Wow.
And then my homie that was on
yeah, no
shrooms,
stuff like that.
he was starting shit with my neighbors.
Jesus.
I was trying to, yo, sorry guys, I got just my friends fucking on one.
Yeah.
Oh my
But
god. I had to do that before.
maybe I took I overdosed. I don't know.
Well,
Dude, I've had that
That's
before.
my experience with shrooms. I've never done them again.
well,
Oh.
you gotta remember. Look, any plant.
Try
medicine-
microdosing.
I-
It's way different.
I'll tell you
Like
right-
Right,
smoking
microdosing, because I do micronutrients with my plants. So same deal. Micronutrients, microdosing, micro.
I'll tell you right now
Yeah.
that you know, plant medicine, they have their wisdoms and all that, but you know, it doesn't heal anything. You have to heal yourself.
Exactly.
You know, you have to take the steps.
Yeah.
It's only like a tiny glimpse of what.
But they're guides, Ruben. They're guides.
guides,
They'll
yes.
guide you on your way. And the thing is, if you want to go on that journey and you have those guides, you better be careful because, man, those are powerful guides. And then things, and you know, man, like you said,
That's
when you
my
were with
point.
your uncle,
That's my point. Is that, you know, we use these guides as a recreational thing.
but that's where the homie's saying microdosing, and it's true, man. This whole microdosing is a new shit for people because I remember, like, okay, doing the mini, like Mondo was saying, you say, hey, I bust a cap in your ass. Well, yeah. So we'd bust a cap, and man, if it's good mushrooms, that cap will send you, man. And like, there's some people that'll just like gobble it all out, and I was like, oh my god, and they're just on a different frequency. You know what I mean? So, mushroom to each their own. You know, but it gets to just. You just got to be careful. You got to know what's in your head. But after that, you know what's in your head. You know, it's just
What I'm trying to point out is that it's not going to come with an answer. It comes with a shift, a glimpse, something. But nothing has been more
a
powerful.
vibration.
Nothing.
vibration. Good point.
That's a good one. That's another good one. Nothing's been more powerful than discipline.
Yeah.
Nothing's been more powerful than discipline. Keeping the Nemotemi for 9 years now. Keeping my intermittent fasted for about 10 years now. Nothing has beat discipline. Nothing has taught me more. No communications with my own body and my own cell and my own spirit came from all this discipline, as well as the ceremonies, as well as an opportunity to eat and ingest medicine in a ceremonial way. It's not, people try to go to that to do the shift. But what keeps the shift or makes the shift stronger or pushes you to a different dimension or a different reality is the discipline that comes after. Because you can't just go, oh, well, I'm just going to take one of these. It's not Tylenol, bro.
Yeah, like Zero, like I'm sure if, God forbid, you catch one of your kids on shrooms, I'm sure you could tell if he's on shrooms or not. Because my older brother pulled me aside when I was fucked up on shrooms. He's like, bro, I know you're on something. Don't fuck you look like a goddamn, look, I vividly remember him saying to me, I look like an animaniac. Because my pupils were just completely dilated. All my eyes were just completely black.
And that's when you do things on a recreational way, and you do things that, you're being a kid. You're being a kid, and people believe me, I was a kid too. And a lot of influence happened with me.
But like
too.
I said about your kids, like God forbid if you find them on shrooms, is it a grilling thing or a consulting thing, or you'll be like, yo, like let's.
Okay, this is the way I deal with my kids. I always tell my kids that I'm not here to forcefully see my view. I'm here because I've been here longer than you. And so I know the steps. I have different roads. I have pathways that I have went down that were safe and effective. And if you could follow me down that pathway, I guarantee you're going to have a different outcome. But you have your own free will. And I tell my kids all the time before. It's I can't stop them from. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to be a Spaniard. I'm not going to be a Spaniard and then preach indigenous philosophy and ways. I'm not going to be that. I'm not going to beat them. I'm not going to, I'm not going to say that I haven't lost my temper with my children, but I told my oldest son once when we were starting to get into it, I go, hey, Olin, wait, let's stop right now. I'm here to guide you, man. I'm not your enemy. That's not my goal. If you want to follow my guidance, you have every right to, and you have every right not to. And guess what? When you fall, I'm going to be there to pick you up because I'm your dad. I'm just here to guide. I'm a guide.
And protect.
And protect, yes. But we protect by guiding. I never force my kids to do anything, and they're beautiful now. They're beautiful human beings. I'm so proud of all my children.
But that's why I think if they took shrooms, man, it would be a dope. I'd love to take shrooms with your kids, dude. I'd be like, oh, yeah. Because people that are in a good vibe, dude, they're the ones that are like, because I've had it's not that I had a bad trip, but I was with somebody who had a bad trip, and I was like, damn, it's very like.
I would advise it.
Go for it.
I would advise if you're 21 and older, then start experimenting with shrooms. Because I got kids too. I told them that too. I was
that's good. That's
you're
good.
18, your mind is still developing.
Yeah.
And even with weed, like wait till you're closer to an adult where your brain is more developed.
Absolutely.
Because it can mess us up. It can mess us up.
That's true.
I think my mistake. Instead of just taking one cap, I took like 8. You know what I'm saying? Because at those days you're like, man, this shit ain't gonna get me.
Oh my god! But dude,
stoner.
But Mondo, you're a certain type of person, dude. I can tell. Like you're the guy. You don't just have one beer.
Yeah, that's how it is.
Right? No, but I mean, like,
I would advise.
Everything was in slow mo as soon as I hung up that fucking phone, dude.
Yeah,
I was like, my hand was glued to the phone.
Oh,
I couldn't get that phone out of my hand, bro. That's how bad it was.
Before my son, my 16-year-old son, Thekpat, I always tell him, Tekpat, remember, don't do any hard drugs. Please don't do any hard drugs. Don't do any powders. Don't do any of that. But if you decide to do shrooms, go ahead and do them, man.
Oh my god.
I'm not giving you permission, but you'll have to face the consequences of what that action is. But please just stick to plant things.
Yo,
Stick to plant things.
yo,
Don't-
I specifically remember when I was on Shroom Zero, I was telling myself, I'm gonna break up with her right now. Like I kept telling myself that for like an hour. It was some weird fucking
Break up with
timing. Whoever I was with at the time, I don't know. It was just some shit that I was going through. I was like, look, I'm gonna fucking break up with her right now. And that was just, I didn't, obviously. I was on shrooms.
Well,
But I don't know why that
for a while,
phrase, I
so-
just kept repeating it, bro. All my homies were like, calm down, Armando. I'm just like, nah, fuck you guys. She's ruining
Well,
my
let me
life.
say, for those who are listening,
Yeah.
just on the YouTube or whatever, if you want that type of experience, what you're explaining, maybe 2 grams. So if you want to see that, if you want to trip out like that,
Right.
but if you want to start off just to really help you on your creativity and deal with maybe depression or whatnot, then take then microdose. That's less than a gram, maybe even a little less than a half a gram.
Right.
And that will help you
and-
function throughout your day. And nobody will know that you're on. I promise you, it's like smoking a joint.
And
Sounds
And
like he's speaking from experience.
And this show is not endorsing or promoting any type
Right,
of
he's not
thing
endorsing or
whatsoever.
promoting.
You know what I'm
No,
saying?
no.
Everyone makes their own
Mushrooms
decisions.
are
Zero.
natural, though.
No,
They grow.
no,
Amen.
we're not. No, we will not encourage anybody to do anything that they're not ready for, and that's their own personal decision when anybody decides to do
Right.
anything. But
Yeah.
at the same time, nature makes medicine, and
Well, then the mushrooms come from nature.
nature makes medicine, and mushrooms are a part of nature, and they should be used with respect.
Yeah.
We,
But besides the
we-
psilocybin ones,
but
the
wait,
trippy ones,
go on.
there's other ones that we can just eat. So don't just think of mushrooms as trippy.
Right,
There's mushrooms that are very healthy for
right,
you.
lion's mane.
And if you change your diet, I'm sure you're familiar with, lion's mane, oyster mushroom, and stuff like that.
Absolutely,
So-
absolutely, 100%.
So,
I guess what I wanted to say was that sometimes therapy doesn't work for people. Sometimes, westernized medicine doesn't work for people. Sometimes psilocybin works for people. Sometimes.
Yeah.
But never abuse it. And know one thing, me being a Malinali sign, being one of plants and one that comes from plants and one that knows the energy of plants, put your hand on top of it. If you feel overwhelmingly anxiety, don't take it.
What about peyote? How do you feel about
Hikuri is distributed by the Maracames, and if you have a good Maracame that comes to your community and he distributes that medicine on certain days. See, Hikuri is supposed to take 4 times a year, and those on the solstice and the equinoxes, because you're commemorating the time.
You're
Right?
talking about the cactus, right? The cactus,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
the peyote
The
cactus.
Hikuri. Yes. It's called Hikuri. It's called
Oh,
Hikuri.
I didn't know.
Yeah, it's called Hikuri in Mexico, from Miricuta, the place where it comes from, right?
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so the Hikuri or the peyote, I mean, it's supposed to be ingested 4 times a year by the elderly to commemorate the shifting of time. And they're supposed to bring that wisdom and get back to the community and share it with us. There's systems to what we do. But I understand we're in a place of learning again. And sometimes our spirit needs to go through these journeys and test these waters. Our mother will never give us, it'll always teach us lessons. These medicines teach us lessons. Ayahuasca, Los Niños Santos, Hikuri, cannabis.
Yeah.
All these things are medicine. And I don't have a problem with saying venture in different things if those I know for sure those westernized things aren't going to help you.
Yeah, this show obviously is not going to lead
Doesn't make
into
it work.
like, yo, do cocaine. This shit, dude, like, that's all that white boy shit, to be honest with you. Like, whenever, I don't know, it just, for my whole entire life, whenever, like, I heard about cocaine or cocaine use, I don't know why, but Zero, I always used to tell people, that's some white boy shit.
Yeah, it was. It was always them, So we're not endorsing anything. We're endorsing that you do what you need to do to get to the place where you can join this community and start contributing in a good way, and shifting the reality of our understanding across Turtle
Yeah.
Island.
We
across
endorse
Turtle
discipline.
Island. Yeah, and that's how you go.
That's
More
the
than
way to put it.
anything, more than anything, we endorse discipline.
Yep.
More
Yeah,
than
but you know
anything.
what, too? Can I say that we were happy people. We were, you know what I mean? The things, when we're doing these things, we're going kind of, we're returning to a way that we used to embrace, the way we used to live, because, you know, we had a connection with these things. And a lot of the glyphs, a
Just
lot of
don't
things
abuse
actually have
it.
the plants in the glyphs that tell you why we use
Absolutely.
them.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
actually believe cannabis was used by everyone way back when. Sir.
Yeah, I do too.
Like,
I have a feeling that
there's no way it wasn't used like
Yeah.
in smoke sessions or like
Well,
in
brother, it's in the circle. It's Mali
social
Nali. Like,
gatherings,
it's part of the
indigenous
20.
gatherings, you
Right.
know? Like,
It's part of the base 20.
yeah. Yeah. So we have all these things to our disposal, and we have alternatives to things that just don't work anymore. And that's what I'm saying. The system doesn't work anymore, so we need to be more creative about it.
Hey, boo, it never worked. It's such a
Yeah,
fraud.
exactly. It never
Never
worked.
worked
But
for us, man.
thanks a lot for the call, Arturo.
Yeah.
Right? It's Arturo.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
Boo,
thanks a
get
lot
back
for
to
the
me,
call,
brother.
for your
Thanks for having me on.
perspective, and joining in the conversation. I encourage everyone else in the chat and everyone else that listens to LA Natives on the replay.
Hey, and Arturo, thanks for populating Aslan, man. That's where we're gonna win by occupying the land.
absolutely. Yo, man, that call was amazing.
Yeah.
Right now, we're peaking at our viewership. The comments are lit. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you're not subscribed already, like the
How are we
video.
doing with that? Are we almost there to our goal?
We're almost there, guys. Just have your friends, family members subscribe to this channel, guys. Very, very important. You know, we just got a kid from Kansas City.
Yeah.
So it's working. The
Yeah.
more people who subscribe, the more the algorithm's on our side and the more exposure we get. So it's really important to not just view this video, but to share the video, comment on the video too, guys.
Yes.
Not just in the live, but once it's in post, just go back onto the YouTube video, comment, and tag a friend.
You know, I earlier today I saw Sky at the shop, and I'm all, why is Sky here? I was like, we have the podcast, and know that, you know, tomorrow I have a flight, and I still have a lot of things to do, but I just wanted to tell the chat that there'll be very little things that'll stop me from coming and sharing this moment with you guys, and you know, everyone looks forward to it. Daniel looks forward to it. Armando, you know, executive producer, Sky, our young new member who's very wise and old soul, and myself, man, we're happy that everybody in the chat gets to share their opinion, and the person that called Arturo, and I hope we encourage other people to participate next time when we come through. But you know, I'm about to head over to Canada and represent our community out there, and know that we're building strong connections, you know, with the brothers and sisters of Canada. And shout out to HK, shout out to Dakota Bear, shout out to Dreeza, shout out to Snotty Nose. We're about to go out there and then ask for permission to go and share our music out there with you guys. Any last words, Sky and Daniel?
Well, I was gonna say, you know, a big shout out to your homie who's going with you out there is
Aurelio.
Aurelio. So I think I appreciate Aurelio's gonna have your back out there, man. Since I couldn't have your back, so
Yeah, next time.
yeah, no, but man, I think it's great, Ruben. It's such a good thing, man. I think you're gonna do. It's gonna be a good experience, man. You're gonna bring all the medicine, you know, the LA Natives medicine out there, you know.
Right. I still got to figure out what I'm going to take up there, because I know I can't take most of the stuff that I want to take, but
Yeah, well, the last time we got some shrooms up there, so if you want to bring back some shrooms, you know, it'd be cool too.
we'll see.
Some recuerdos for Daniel.
We lost Mick for a minute there.
Oh yeah, the enchanted land.
Yeah,
It's amazing how
was
mushrooms
gone.
make you see things a little differently.
Absolutely, he was gone out there. And anyways, but yeah. So I'm gonna take some time, and I just want to wish everybody out there in the chat that we really appreciate your viewership. We really do.
Somebody in the chat said, "Take your true spirit."
There you go. Yeah.
There you
Well,
go.
absolutely, absolutely. Like,
And the homie right here, 3Pac 1995, he says, I appreciate you guys taking the time to set all this up. I always learn something new. That's the whole goal, right? Zero since day
Absolutely.
one.
yeah, man, we're trying to share as much as we can with our community. We love you guys.
Absolutely,
We-
and
we- come on,
we're all learning together too. You know, we're
I
all
was-
students as well.
You know, about 3
Thank
o'clock
you, guys.
today, I was about to say, you know what, I'm just going to cancel the podcast, but I can't cancel. I can't keep going, man. Like, it's okay. I'll stay up to 3 in the morning and, you know, get a couple hours sleep before I get to, you know, the airport and do what I got to do. But, you know, I love this community. I love LA natives. I love Lost Aslan because we're not lost. We live in Aslan. This is Aslan. You are Aslan. We are Aslan.
Absolutely.
You know, we got to awaken all those brothers and sisters. That's why it's important that you share and that you subscribe and that we get to our goals. We want 1,300 subscribers, and after we get 1,300, we're going after 5,200.
I would rather watch this than Joe Rogan.
But brother, can I tell you something? I love your stories, man. Like, dude, you lived it. Like, I think one of these times we got to do the Mondo Chronicles, man.
Hey, bro. Live that
Like,
fast
that
life.
is-
But those days are done.
Yeah, but that's
well,
all right. Then we can.
But
we
you
can
got
have
stories
time
for
to hang
days,
out,
my
you know?
boy. Those are funny ass stories.
I mean, bro, but I mean, we all have those stories. I mean, the thing is, I had a story like that as well, where like the homies
Dude,
were
I
on
should've been-
rooms and like messing it up. You know,
Man.
someone's trying to give us food, and he's like, "Hey, dude, get out of here!" I'm like, "Dude, what are you doing?" Like, you know, like
Yeah.
people just get foolish, you know.
Right.
Man, I got major stories. I should have been beat here. I should be dead.
We both do, brother. We both do. I think it's for another podcast, another chapter.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, thanks for joining us here at the podcast, and we're gonna head up to Canada tomorrow, and you guys stay safe down here, and we'll see you next Wednesday.